In this video, I'm going to answer questions 1 and 2 on your practice exam. Question 1 instructs you to use goal-seek to find the break-even quantity and answer the following questions. Of course, this worksheet is already set for the break-even quantity, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the quantity to a random number, maybe 1,000. So now we can see that we actually have a profit. Now, if I wanted to use goal-seek to find the break-even quantity, I would click Data. I would click my What If analysis, and I would click Goal-seek. Now, in the Goal-seek box, my set cell would be the profit, and the value is to 0. The reason for that is in break-even analysis, we want to find the quantity that causes profit to be 0. That's how we break even, when revenue exactly equals costs and our profit is 0. So the changing cell is going to be the quantity B9. So we can see here that the answer to part A, what would go in the set cell box, that would be B16, the profit. The value would be to 0. If I ask you to do a target profit, you would put that target profit, let's say you wanted a $50,000 profit, you would put 50000 in the to value without a comma, and the changing cell is the quantity B9. So notice when I click OK, the computer calculates that the break-even quantity is 560, which is the answer to part D. Now I can click OK and keep the solution, or I can cancel to go back to my original numbers. In question 2, we're supposed to use Scenario Manager to answer the following questions. In part A, if you were instructed to enter a scenario to change the selling price to $200 and the quantity to $750, which cells would be entered in the Scenario Manager dialog box for the changing cells? So for Scenario Manager, I click my Data tab, my What If analysis, and my Scenario Manager. So in this case, I now have no scenarios defined. I'm going to add a scenario. I will call this scenario part A. So if I were told to enter a scenario to change the selling price to $200, I would click the selling price, which is B3, and the quantity to $750, I would type a comma, and then click B9 for the quantity, B9. And I would click OK, and that would become my scenario for part A. So I could enter my values for the changing cell, and B3 I would enter in a value of $200. And for B9 I would enter in a quantity of 750. Now in part B, if you were instructed to enter a scenario to change the selling price to $200, materials to 50, labor to 35, variable overhead to 30, and fixed overhead to $45,000, which cells would I enter in the Scenario Manager dialog box for the changing cells? So to add my second scenario, I'm going to click Add, and the changing cells are going to be I will call this scenario part B, and for part B I could actually enter in different changing cells. So my changing cells are the selling price, which would be B3, materials B4, labor B5, variable overhead B6, fixed overhead B7. And I would then click OK. So I would enter in my values. The selling price would be $200. Materials would be $50. Labor would be $35. Variable overhead $30. Fixed overhead $45,000. And I click OK. Now, if I wanted to produce a summary, I'm going to click the Summary tab. And if I wanted to show the total revenue and the profit for each of the scenarios that I created in the results cell, I'd have to click B11 for the total revenue, then either type a comma or hold down the Control key, and then click B16, the profit. And I click OK, and there is my scenario summary.